It's a brand new show that just dropped. While the presenters play dominoes, a special guest will be discussing all topics that matter to you. Everything from judicial, legal, health, wealth. Nothing is off topic. The name you ask me? Domino Effect. Domino Effect. Come listen. It's time well spent.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. At whatever time you're watching the show, welcome to the Domino Effect Show, your favorite show and the show you need to watch. So today, while we're playing some dominoes, we will be discussing a hot topic. At the table with me today, we have Eves, the Padre, and Sweet Will. And I am Lady KKB subbing in for Vodes. Fellas, did you hear him singing? He was like, melodies from heaven.
He used to be an artist.
Used to be.
Yeah, he's retired now.
The disrespect.
Right,
the
right,
disrespect.
right.
I still got it.
You know why he's
What did he
saying
used
that?
to sing?
Because he
Your
gospel.
turn. What he used to sing?
Gospel. I used to be an artist
voice
too
did
back
you
in
used
the
to make?
day.
That
Just
used to
voice.
be his men's song.
So he only know. So he's a one-hit wonder.
He's a one-hit. No, I don't think so. I don't think
He's
so.
a one-hit wonder.
Because there was another song. You remember that song? Before we get to our hot topic, it was King Jesus listening when you pray.
I hated that song.
King Jesus.
I hated the
when
song.
you pray.
That song sounded like
He's
like a
waiting
bunch of
to hear
slaves
you.
singing.
Comfort and cheer.
Seriously, that song sounded like a bunch of slaves.
Actually,
I'm serious. I hated
Like
the
you doing
song.
the dance.
Exactly. I hated the song. Every time you guys, I'm like, you guys sound like a bunch of slaves. I hated the song.
He did hate the song.
I hated the song. Every time you guys, why you guys singing the song? It sounds like a bunch of slaves. Seriously, I hated the
Right,
song.
okay. Whose turn is it? Yours?
I just played. Oh my God.
One of I'm still laughing. This is killing me. So the hot topic for today is parents' involvement in their children's education.
Yes.
What I have to say in that matter is
Is it
that
just education or the kid's life itself?
Well, I could say
well,
all.
we could say all of the above, but today we're tackling education because
School's
school's
open.
about
School's open.
So
School's open.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I pass.
So
You should ask if it was my turn just to pass.
Yo, you used to be the lead
Is
singer.
it my turn?
Okay.
Is it my
if
turn? Yes,
if I were you, I would shut
did he
because
pass?
you.
Did you pass too?
No, he just played. If I were you,
He hasn't
didn't
passed
pass.
yet.
no, he just played that.
That's
No,
me.
I didn't.
Okay,
I
alright.
played
If
that.
if I were you, I would
Listen, I'm
just shush
controlling.
because you
Is
just.
it my turn?
Yes,
Yes.
it's your turn.
I got a domino for it.
Okay,
Oh,
if I were you, I would just shush.
Now you pass everybody.
Okay, see, I pass.
Everybody's passed because
Yeah.
he knows he has
If I
all
were
the
you,
sixes.
I would shush because you used to
Go
be
ahead.
the lead singer of a slave group, okay? Singing King Jesus, listen to us when we pray.
So, in terms of education, I always say that education begins at home, and he
Oh, he
wins.
wins.
Yeah, he wins.
I agree.
It begins at home. So I do believe that parents really need to be involved in their children's education from daycare all the way through. Funny story. When my son was younger, he went to a daycare center. However, at the daycare center, they only knew his father because that's who would pick him up and drop him off and everything. On the off chance I went to go pick him up one day and he came to me and the people were like, oh, no, you cannot go with this lady. He's like, Mommy. They're like, nope, we don't care. We don't know her. We don't have any information on her. So I had to give my ID, and they were kind of like, oh, because I wasn't involved. It was his dad that was always bringing him in. And another way, he had a conversation with a friend. The friend had two dads. So he came home and he said, Mom, I want to be just like him. I want to have two dads too. So I said, oh, yeah, you do. And he was kind of like, what? I said, yeah, you do. You have a godfather and a godmother, and then you have me and daddy. So when he went back to school and he said, yep, I'm just like him. I have two dads and two moms. They were kind of like, oh. So the next time I showed up to go pick him up, these people were looking at me funny. And I was kind of like, what's going on? And they were like, yeah. They said to me, they're like, so where's your wife? I said, my wife? No, I said, my husband. They're like, no, Matthew says he has two moms and two dads. I said, oh, let me explain. He came home because this child has two fathers. And he told me he wants two fathers too. And I said, you already have that. You have your godfather, and you have dad, and you have myself, and you have your godmother. And he was like, oh. So he went back to school and bragged about that because he didn't know, and he was too young at the time.
It's funny you said that because not too long ago I was talking to a little girl, 5-year-old, and I asked her a question. I say, where's your dad? He said, oh, I have three dads. I say, how can you explain me about three dads? He said, I have three dads, three moms. I said, explain me that. He said, oh, he keep naming people, and those people that she's naming, I know them. One, that's the father. The other one, it's a grandfather. And the other one, it's the other grandfather.
Yes.
So she counts
as her dad.
As her dad.
Because a lot of times they don't know. And one of the things I can say I've been blessed to have is that my son had different names for everybody. Like my son had 3 grandmothers and a great grandmother. So with the 3 grandmothers, my mom had a name. My husband's mom had a name. And my husband's stepmom has a name as well. And then with my dad and my husband's dad, he came up with his own names for them. So that he would talk about how many grandparents he has. But let's go back on the topic of education. How much involvement is too much and how much involvement is too little? Because when we're talking about, as parents, we need to be involved in our children's education. How involved are you?
Personally, I don't think there should not be any limit as far as
That's why
parents.
Is there too much involved? Too much?
Yes,
If you
there
want
is.
Success, no. If you want your kids to succeed,
Because to me, I'm gonna be honest
But
with you.
I can side up with a little KKB.
the art
If
itself
you're
is
too,
against you.
if you're too
You can't be
involved,
too no, you can't be too involved
There
because
are-
the art itself is against you
It is.
at all times.
However,
So you need to make sure because you need to be at least 10 times qualified than certain people.
but at the same time,
So
you
you
gotta give the kids a little bit leeway so he can make a decision on his own, too, not too involved. I can understand. There's a certain level, certain age, you gotta be really involved in
Was
the
that
kid
you?
situation.
No, you haven't.
But
put
you
yet.
have to control. You gotta let the kid make some decision on it.
Yeah, but okay.
Okay.
Let me just say, okay.
So-
At what age are you talking about here? Because at the early age, you got to be more involved than anything else.
Yeah, early
Yes, because
you know
those
what I
are
mean?
foundational.
Exactly.
Yeah, early
because,
age.
at the early age, you gotta be more involved because you need to make the foundation to let the kid know, okay, this is how things are. Because when the kids watch their parents involved, and then not only that, the teachers respect you and respect the kid more when the parents are involved in the kid's life as far as education. When the parents are more involved, because when the kid goes into class, those are the kids that the parents, those are the kids that the teachers won't worry.
Regardless if a teacher says they're impartial, they have no favorite student.
Trust me.
If they have a student, they know that parent is involved. They know that parent will show up for meetings. They know that that parent will support the child if something is popping up.
Let me ask a question. When you mean involvement, do you mean it's like individual, or both parents should be involved?
Yes,
both parents should be involved.
Let's take, for instance, you have a parent meeting in school. You only have one parent showed up at the meeting.
That's fine. That's still parent involvement because some students don't have anybody show up at all.
But the thing is, okay, guys, listen to this, right?
I think it's better if both parents
are
there,
involved.
because where people, sometimes the fact that like it's always one parent showing up all the time, people tend to think, oh,
the other
that's
parents,
a single mother.
Yep, or that's a single father.
That's a single father. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So sometimes you do have to show up like, hey, I'm here too. That's not a single mother. Like,
or you can alternate. You know, alternate.
Exactly.
Which I
Something
think.
like that. But you yourself, you need to show up so that way they're like, hey, he has a mother figure. He or she has a mother figure and a father figure in the house.
But at the same time, now that we say that, I think it's a good idea for the parent, whoever that goes in, right? If the father goes in, and to say whoever goes in, they sit down first to say, okay, this is what sit at home and talk about what the expectation as a team before you go in to talk to the teacher. Okay, what the expectation, what we're expecting from the school and what we're expecting from the kid, because you can't just expecting your kid to have A.
But
from
you're not
school,
doing
but
homework.
you're not doing homework with the kid.
You're not reading with them.
I thought we talked about that subject before IEP program.
Yes, with Cynthia Linnae of Black Autism Coalition.
Yes.
We talked about that before,
but it was more for the autism kids. But now
it's not only for autism, but
it's for every child.
Every child.
Because if you have a child that's lagging, because from infancy they have these programs. Because they have like Healthy Start program, they have Head Start program, where if you have a child, no, I haven't played yet.
Okay, that's you,
if you have a child and the child is in your home and the child is not walking and the child's like 18 months, your doctor can refer you to those programs so that they can provide the child with certain assistance.
Because that program requires a lot of parenting.
Involvement.
Yes, they do. Because one of the things that we did as parents was we had somebody that used to babysit our child. In that household, there was a child there who was a year older than our child. That child didn't speak, but our child was speaking. So we were kind of worried, and we're like, okay, how do we want to shape our child's future? So we looked into daycares and we placed our child in daycare. It wasn't that he no longer went to the babysitter. He still went to the babysitter, but he was going to daycare where he was having interactions with other children.
Oh, yeah, because kids tend to mimic when they see another kid talking. They're like, oh, yeah, I want to talk too. I want to do this. I want to do, like, reading and stuff she can read? Oh, I want to be able to read.
That's
I want to learn, like, you know what I mean? But
based on their environment. Yeah.
So if you keep the kids at home and things like, bro,
we're talking about parent involvement.
No. And that's why I was giving you the foundational parts of it. So in terms of elementary school, our son was in an elementary school. I did. Our son was at an elementary school, and we realized that I had a day off. So I volunteered to go in there and to read to his entire class.
Yep, my wife does that.
His teacher spoke to me and told me that some of these kids were disadvantaged. They were having issues at home that they wouldn't speak to anybody about. So I said, okay, on my day off, not only will I come to talk, but I will come to eat with them. It will be, eating with Mrs. Delva. So I would come and have lunch with them. And you would put these kids at the table with Matt. So I would try to engage them and have a conversation with them. and then that way I could help you out. And when I did that, she was like, you know, they're telling you things that they don't tell us, that I don't think they even tell their parents.
Because
and
kids tend to tell strangers things
a lot more things
than they tell their parents.
Than they would their own parents.
True.
So it turned into a really good opportunity for me because I got to know a lot of my son's friends. And they got to know me, where if they see me on the streets now, he's 19, they're still like, hey, Miss Delva, how are you? You know, how are things going? They still say hello.
And another one, it's really important for parents to be involved in the kids' education and stuff, in school and technically in their life.
Basically everything that they do, yeah, exactly. Everything that they...
But what I was trying to say early, we asked early what age you should stop, and not stop, but maybe lay back and watch to see what's going on.
We were saying what kind of put a limit.
Yeah,
you're
put
saying?
a limit. I think if you have a kid that's in high school and about to be graduate, you gotta let the kid make a decision.
Yeah, no, that's your time. Yeah.
You gotta make a decision about what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's now we talking. Now that's definitely different here.
Yeah,
and even then,
you still need
to be involved because your involvement is different now. You know what I mean? Because now you still need to go to parent-teacher meeting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those parent-teacher meeting now, they're more important now because you need to know how your kids are doing because you need to know how college. How the college preparation.
Those are the things that count towards college. So you definitely need to make sure.
Why are we talking about that? I don't know if we become. I don't want to use that word. We too Americanized and stuff. And when the kids reach a level like high school and stuff, we say, oh, the kid can choose if you want to go to college or not. But
no. There isn't a choice. I'm Haitian to the fullest. There isn't a choice. You don't have a choice of going to college.
I don't know where you're coming from, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know where you're coming from.
It's not that we've become Americanized. Here's the thing.
Yep.
A lot of parents look at it like I had a situation where a coworker was explaining something to me.
That's your turn.
There's a child. Oh, I played.
Okay. Yeah,
There's a child that went to college and wasn't doing well at the college, but the parents were saying that the child needed to be there. So it was very difficult for that child, and that child ended up trying to take their life over that. So I will say college is great, but you need to read the room and see, does this fit your child? Does this situation fit your child? Is your child a child that can go to college and will do well? Or is your child, I went again.
Wow.
Or is your child a child that could do better with something more technical? Like there's a young lady I met, you know, her two brothers, one graduated from college, the other one's currently going to college. And when I asked her, I said, so what are you going to do? She said, you know what? I'd like to own a beauty salon, so I'm going to take those classes. So in her saying that to me, I said to her, you know, another thing you should do? You should look into business courses so that you could do your own accounting, your own bookkeeping, and so that, and marketing classes as well, so that you can market for your. And she was like,
not to cut you off. We did have a show to talk about that.
Yeah, but please
please check out our YouTube channel so that you can look for that show.
That is another
I think the show was called
Is College Worth It?
Necessary or Worth It? Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of being involved, I don't think that sometimes it can be too much involvement because some parents will go and will complain about the teachers. Like, I'll give you another example. There was a parent who has a child who's autistic. She didn't know her child was autistic. So the teacher came at her.
Or she didn't want to believe her child.
Or she was in denial.
No.
Exactly.
No.
A lot of
it's not
that
that she was
happens.
It's not that she was in denial because at home the child displayed a certain behavior, but then in school the child had a completely different, because the child is used to smaller groups. So when that child went to school, first grade, it was like chaos. Like, oh, I can't do this. The child wasn't speaking. The child was in the corner. So what ended up happening, she went and complained to the school about that teacher, even to the point of getting that teacher fired because she thought the teacher was targeting her child. And in so doing, you know, the teacher lost her job.
But that's the same thing, isn't it? Lack of education on the
it is because sometimes if you tell somebody, you turn around and you say to somebody, your child's autistic. What does the person know about
especially
about autism?
In our culture, we always denial of.
That's what I'm saying. So
it and then it turned out the child is on the spectrum. The child isn't fully, because there are different like
aspects.
Black Autism Coalition has come and shared with you guys. There are some children that are autistic that are high functioning.
We know
and there are some.
You just say your pass.
There are some.
Just say your pass.
There are some that are not high functioning. Okay, so in terms of that, you know, she found out that her child was autistic but high functioning, and she was able to get an IEP for her child and do certain things. But sometimes our involvement can leave a lot to be desired.
Yes.
Because we can be too harsh when certain things are told to us. Like if we're told our child isn't doing well in school and we're kind of like, what do you mean? I send them here to learn. Yeah, but they can do only so much learning in school. What about what you're doing with them at home?
But when we're talking about the involvement, at the same time, there's some remark we can see now. We kind of it's not a complaint, but you see some teachers, they don't really have the patience. I don't know, because how they hired them, they don't really have the patience to deal with kids. Kids is kids. There's a certain way they're gonna act. You gotta have patience to deal with them.
Well,
I think what it is sometimes is the amount
of children
that they have in the classroom. Because sometimes, like, there are schools who have the budget. They'll put like 15 kids. There's 3 teachers in the room.
Exactly. And
where there's like 20 to 25
kids.
kids, and there's only 1 teacher. They can only do so much.
You really know how to play.
You know what I mean? Like
you
they
messing
can
with
only
everybody
do so much. So
at
that's
the
what
table.
it is. Yeah.
Did you just close it off? Yeah, and I lost. Oh, look at what he has in his hands too.
And you closed it.
And you turned it off and closed it off. You know what?
I got 19. You win.
Yeah, you win. Wow. You thought you were closing it off so you could win.
No, I don't think you realized that he closed it though.
So no, it depends on, because there are certain school systems that get more funding.
Yeah.
And all of this goes back to, how do you vote? What do you vote for?
So technically, involvement in your child's life go farther beyond the school system.
Yes.
It goes through as far as
because
politics as well.
You have to be able to do your civic duty. Like when we were sending our son to school, they sent a list. The list included toilet paper. It included paper towel. And I'm like, for a kindergartner, why am I sending all these things? Yeah. And it turned out it was because the school lacked funding. So then I looked into and I said, okay, let me speak to the nurse of the school. The nurse told me, you know one thing we really need? We need underwear and socks, because these kids are just learning, so they're always peeing on themselves. So if you could hook us up with this, that would be great. And I was kind of like, oh,
because
I could do that.
Like sometimes the teachers have to come out of pocket
and buy the supplies.
So that's another way. That's another way parents can get involved.
Like, hey, we need
pencils,
Lysol wipes. We need a tissue. I'll buy a case and
bring it in.
Bring your cases and bring it in. Like something, because it's sad. The teachers themselves does not get paid enough for them to be coming out of pocket to be buying stuff for the students. You know what I mean? Like the school itself should be buying these things. But the fact that, like, you know,
the district or whatever it is don't have.
Now you gotta yourself like take the burden off the teachers and stuff. You can buy these things just so that, you know what I mean.
So I see. We're talking about involvement. I see parents Me, I did that also. When my kids get off school, I went to his backpack when like my
to go through.
I have it to have you also.
Of course.
I go to his backpack and check.
Yes.
And make sure
Homework,
there's nothing.
what's in there.
That they didn't send you a letter or something. Yeah.
But not only send me a letter, but I'm checking
to see if there's other things in there.
There's other things because
Absolutely.
we're dealing with it's a crazy world.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
crazy
it
world.
is.
Oh, yes.
It is.
So I think
That's another thing that parents need to do. When your kid comes home, check
Ask them how was their day.
how was their day.
Check their backpack.
And there are different ways of asking the kid how's their day. Because if you want to start a conversation, how's your day is not it's not a conversation. Trying different ways of asking.
Get more
if you
no,
need,
because see, here's what I was going to touch upon. I remember one of my pastors would say this. He would say, if you ask somebody how their day was, and they said they had a great day, you would ask them what was
makes
so great about it. That way you open up the conversation. And if they said their day was bad, don't ask them. Just say, you know what? We all have bad days, but did anything good happen today? Because that way you would make sure that you do not put the spotlight on the bad thing that happened.
That is correct. Yes.
And so that they're telling you the great things so you can encourage them through the great. So that's what we used to do.
Okay, yeah.
And we used to do roses and thorns. Roses and thorns were a way of sitting at the dinner table to get our son to talk to us about his day. The roses were the great things that happened during the day, and the thorns were the little bumps in the road, the things that were not so great. And when we used to do roses and thorns, at the end of it, we would thank God for our roses and our thorns, so that he got used to having a conversation with us. So that's how we built him up. And during the summers, we used to have workbooks. Oh boy, he hated those workbooks. Did you just play?
Yeah, that's true.
When I tell you he hated those workbooks.
I think he's not the only one.
But when we gave him the workbooks during the summer, when he got back to school, he'd be like, oh, the new material they're teaching, I already know it. Because you did it with me during the summer. You did certain things with me during the summer. So there are a lot of ways to get involved in our children's education. And, you know, we need to do so. This is his show. This is his game.
I think.
What you think? What?
I think but sadly, we have some parents that don't know all those kind of things we're talking about.
Well, and that's the reason why we're
that's
talking.
That's the reason why we're talking about it.
With the Haitian community, I can tell you, parents they're not involved. They're not involved because I can tell you like.
Well, not that we can't say they're not involved. We got to say
I don't think they know.
Some are not involved.
Some are not involved. And they don't know how
we
to
are Haitian. All of us are Haitian.
They
We
don't
are
know how to
involved.
they don't know how to get involved.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because they're too busy working.
Exactly.
And such,
Which
and
is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing.
It's
Exactly.
not a
Don't
bad
forget
thing
that.
to work.
Yeah, they be too busy. Yeah, they're too busy working and things like that. So things kind of
hard for
involved.
them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard
to prioritize.
to get involved as much as they want to and stuff like that. So that's the thing.
But that's when the community leader needs
And
to
this
step
is
up too,
and this is where I'm gonna go to. All right, so if the grandparents and you have uncles and nieces and you have cousins, that if you're working, right, I win, and if you're working, right, and if you won't be able to participate to a parent teacher meeting, add somebody else as somebody else. And I think it worked best because you know how the African saying that says it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
It does take a village.
I think that's a very important subject. Not only the parent need to get involved, but the community.
Everybody
have to get involved. Like you're part of the community. Let's take for instance somebody that's in church. That is part of the community. The church is your community. You came here, you do with job, you don't have time to take care of your kids, but at least you have a network that you can
that you can rely on.
It used to be like that.
It used to be like that.
But I don't know if it's.
I can honestly say it used to be like that because
I know.
the church that I grew up in, I can tell you, a lot of the adults during that time, a lot of them were involved.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them were involved. Now I don't think it's the same. It's not.
It's not the same
as it
anymore.
used to.
Yes.
But back in the days, a lot of them were involved in everything. They see us in the street doing something, they will come out their car and be like, "Hey," and they will discipline you and tell your parents.
Well, no.
At church, same exact thing. Like every time
Well,
they'll
now there's a
babysit,
lot of fear.
they'll cover. Not
There's
exactly.
a lot of
That's
fear
what it
with
is.
these kids
Now
knowing, I can call
Yeah.
911
Yeah,
on you
I think
if
that's
you're
what it is.
trying to discipline me.
That is true.
So definitely, this is like a great topic. I think another time we can definitely come back to it and expand upon it.
And I think our community needs it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we thank you so much for spending this time with us. This is the Domino Effect Show, your favorite show and the show you need to watch. Please remember to subscribe, share, and like. Thank you, and good night.